Listen now, for tomorrow, again, this topic we did last week, and it's just the inverse. So I want to just go over this real quick, and then we'll go back to double checking that you're good with the inequalities. All right, so does anybody remember what the rule is when you're finding the inverse of a relation? You just simply what? Switch the x and y. All right, so all we're doing over here, this is what I want you to do. Just make an x and y. Then put x, put y, and then -1, -4, -7, -10, -13, -9, -7, -5, -3, and -1. Does anybody have any issues with that? All right, so I'm double checking. I want everybody to do 2 and 3 real quick. All right, and if you think you're good with 4, 5, and 6, go ahead and do those also. All we're doing is switching the x and y.
Awesome.
All right, so for question number 4, all right, again, the rule is you're just switching the x and the y. So 2, -3, 8, -1, 14, 1, 20, 3. Anybody have any issues with that? I told you, very simple. Very good. And just switch them real quick. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, seems like we're doing well. So let's go ahead now and let's look at the graphs. All right. Now, again, this is what you're expected to do tomorrow, so let's take a look. Here's a point, and here's a point that's on the graph. Does everybody agree with that? And if we want, we can do 3 points just to make sure we have it correct. All right, now I want you to name those points. This point here is 8, 0. This point down here is 0, -4. And this is -8, -4. Everybody okay with that so far? Now to graph the inverse, all right, to graph the inverse, what you're going to do is just switch those points. So the -8, -4 becomes what? -4, -8. 0, -4 becomes -4, 0. And 8, 0 becomes what? 0, 8. Now plot those 3 points. All right, plot those 3 points. So if you plot 0, 8, -4, 0, and -4, hold on, this one down here, thank you. This one down here is -8, -8, correct? Thank you guys, sorry about that. So that's -8, -8. Do I see that? So then -8, -8 is that same point right there. And now you should be able to draw -2, -4, -6, -8. Actually, this point, man, I really messed that up. What is that point, guys? 2, 4, 6, 8. It's -10. Wow. It's not -8. Does everybody see it's -10? Right, that's totally, I don't know what I was thinking. So redo it now. Redo that point. So this point is -10. Am I right this time? -8, right? So now the inverse is going to be -8, -10. Sorry guys, look that over. Or I won't mess up the next one. Yeah, the reason why I do 3 points is just in case I make a mistake. Right, that's why if you do 3 points, I immediately knew I made a mistake because it wasn't forming a line. You with me? So if you accidentally plot one incorrectly, you won't know you plotted it incorrectly. Yeah, I don't. Well, I mean, you're drawing. You don't know what the equation of the line is. Right. So now the other thing I just want you guys to put up on here, remember, is I want you to graph y equals x. All right. And if you recall, if you graph y equals x, that's the line that it's symmetric with, whenever you graph the inverse. All right, is everybody okay with that? One right there, it's one right there. Okay. So let's take a look now at question number 9. Try to identify 3 points that are on the line. So let's make sure we get this one right this time. Here, I see a point right there, and I see a point right there. So this first point I have as 6, 4. This 0, 6. And then -6, 8. Now let's do the inverse. So 8, -6, 6, 0, and 4, 6. Anybody have any issue with that? And so now when we do the inverse, plot those points, 4, 6. Now let's draw that line. And then once again, I always try to tell kids, if you draw the line y equals x, it should be a reflection. Yes, sir.
For -6, 8, when you do, why did you go down? Why did you go across -6 and down?
Are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, down -6.
Are you talking about this point right here?
Yeah, the second. How did you do the inverse?
So Keep in mind, the original was negative 6, 8.
Oh, okay.
Right? The inverse was 8, negative
Okay.
6.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? Anybody have any issues with that? That's not bad, correct? All right, now let's go one more. Doing the inverse of each line. By the way, 17. I'm not doing the word problems right now. Okay, so for question number 11. So remember, y equals 8x minus 5, right? And then what's the rule? Switch the x and y. So x equals 8y minus 5. Add 5 to both sides. X plus 5 equals 8y. And now what?
Divide by 8.
Yeah, divide by 8. So y equals x plus 5 all over 8. And now, do you remember the symbol? There you go. Is equal to x plus 5 over 8. Yep. Sure. Yes, sir. Good
So
for
do
you.
you swap the symbols back after?
No. If you
Oh, yeah.
swap them back, you're going to go back to the original. You with me on this?
Mhm.
Good job.
Why do you divide x plus 5? Aren't you just divide or x?
Because you're dividing the whole quantity.
Okay, so you divide everything.
Yes. All right, you're dividing the quantity. All right, so just to make sure, here we go. Now for number 12, all right, y equals, let's just go ahead and distribute 6x plus 42. I think that just makes it easier. Everybody see that? And so now when we're doing the inverse, x equals 6y plus 42, right? And so x minus 42 equals 6y. Sorry, equals. Everybody see that? All right, see if you can do 13 on your own. Go ahead.
Could you just divide 42 and get -7?
Yes, but then you would have to write it as 1/6 x minus 7. Right, because you have to divide the x by 6 also. All right, so everybody try 13 real quick. All right, so here we go on this. Again, we're switching. So we would say x equals 3/4 y plus 9. X minus 9 equals 3/4 y. Now how do you get rid of a fraction? Multiply by the reciprocal. Y equals 4/3 x minus 9. F -1 of x
And even like, so you don't have to like distribute.
No, you don't have to distribute.
Okay.
You can if you want, but it's not necessary. Just like you can divide if you want, but it's not necessary.
So if it's a fraction, it's multiplied by the
That is
and then
exactly
you put it x, plus or minus whatever, in
That's in
parentheses.
parentheses. Because you have to do 4/3 times that whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why the parentheses is there. Yes, sir. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
this that's perfectly fine. The other one, perfectly fine. You with me?
just try to reduce.
Yep. So let's do 14. So here we go. X equals negative 16 plus 2/5 x. Sorry, 2/5 y. X plus 16 equals 2/5 y. So far, so good. And now multiply by the reciprocal. 5/2 x plus 16 equals y. So f -1 of x. Are you feeling good about that? It's not hard. Switch the x and y and solve for y. All right, now what I want to do is I want to jump back to yesterday where we had graphing inequalities. And then here, you just have to kind of tell me if you had any questions. Does anybody have a specific one? Yes.
Well, so the 15 and 16 on the inverse.
Probably not. But you know what to do anyway. Switch x and y. All right. Nothing's complicated. Same rules. Even if it looks a little bit harder. Okay. Anybody on the inequality want me to do a particular problem? Good.
Number 20.
20. All right, everybody jump to 20 here. All right, now look. I don't really like doing decimals, right? So an easy way to get rid of decimals is just multiply by 10. Just like when you get rid of fractions, you multiply by the denominator. You can get rid of a decimal by multiplying by 10, right? So then it just becomes 3 parentheses x minus 2 plus 1 is less than or equal to 4. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
So when you multiply by 10 for the decimals, you don't multiply x or the minus 2 by 10.
No, you one or the other, right? Like if I said to you, you have 5 times 2, and I want to multiply that by 10.
52.
Do I multiply both of them by 10 or just one of them by 10? You just multiply one of them. You can either multiply the 10 by 5, which is 50, and then 50 times 2 is 100, or you can go 10 times 2 is 20, 20 times 5 is 100. What you can't do is go 10 times 5 and 10 times 2. You with me? All right? So that's what's going on right here. You have a choice. Which one do you want to multiply by 10? The decimal you want to multiply by 10. Yeah. Of course. Now distribute the 3. 3x minus 6 plus 1 is less than or equal to 4. 3x minus 5 less than or equal to 4. 3x less than or equal to 9. So x is less than or equal to 3.
Do you have to divide by 10 or you just keep it?
Oh. It's like when you add 3 to both sides or subtract 2 from both sides. All right, so now your answer is from negative infinity to 3 bracket. Yes. All right, let's check out number 4. Now here's a time where we could just divide everything by what?
-4.
Remember, when you divide by -4,
You have to switch the sign.
that's correct. And so x is less than -4. Agree? So now negative infinity to -4. Yes, ma'am. Good. Yes, I will do 18 now. All right, here we go. Okay, first thing I got to do is subtract 11. Now how do I undo the dividing by 2?
Multiply.
So 6 minus x is less than 30, right? So far so good. Now we subtract 6. Now we change the signs. X is greater than -24. So the x is greater than -24. -24 to infinity. Dalton, what you need? 15. Let's take a look at 15. Yeah, we did that.
So the x always has to be positive, right?
Yes, x is always positive. See it, Dalton? Ken,
So on the test, we'll have to do
on the test, you will have to do everything that we have done on this and the inverse. That's it, right?
When is the test?
That would be tomorrow. Tomorrow.
So just
I know you did number 4, but can you go back to it?
Yep, I sure can for you, buddy.
And sure, and kind of just go through the
Well, I just divided by -4, right? What's 8 divided by -4? And then I subtract 2.
Okay, so I did 8 divided by 4.
That's what your mistakes
So
are.
you don't change the sign when the lower, you just change the.
You change the inequality sign when you multiply or divide by negative.
Oh,
Yeah, you good now?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, sir.
use the
Of course. You don't have to ask me, remember?
So the bracket, so when you have an infinity sign, you never use a bracket for that?
Perfect. Yes.
So on the quiz tomorrow.
No.
Huh?
Go.
So if some different problems with you had a negative fraction and you had to multiply that with negative reciprocal, you switch the sign.
Of course, because I did what? Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, under any circumstances, you have to switch the inequality sign. Let me show you why you have to do that. All right, look up here, guys. I probably should have done this earlier. But you can see, look, at first I, say, why in the world would anybody make that rule up? All right, so I'm going to show you right now so it's easy to remember. All right, does everybody agree 3 is greater than -5?
Yeah.
If I add 1, does everybody agree 4 is still greater than -4? If I divide by 2, 2 is greater than -2. It's still a true statement, right? If I multiply by 6, 12 is greater than -12. Do you agree with that? So it's still true. Now watch what happens if I divide by 3, or divide by -3. If I divide by -3, I get -4 is greater than 4. That's what? That's not true. You with me? So that's why they had to say, well, okay, in order to make it true, you got to switch the sign. All right? That's the only time that will happen, is if you multiply or divide by a negative. All right?
Yeah.
Multiplying or dividing by a negative, you have to switch the sign.
And you always make the number on the other side of the greater than or less than sign. You always make that a negative.
No, you change its sign also. If it was a negative, now it's going to be a positive. If it was a positive, now it's going to be a, yes, sir, good for you.
So on number 4, why would you divide instead of
You could distribute, you can. But it's just one less step if I just divide. You with me on that? Just like down here, Number 6. I can just divide by what? If I divide by -2, look how much easier. Less than or equal to -8. Y is less than or equal to -12. All right, yeah.
Isn't if the x or whatever's on the side of the other side of
The variable always goes on the left with inequalities.
Yeah, so don't you have to switch the sign if it's on the other side to get
So
it
if
over
I
there?
said 2 is less than x, x is greater than 2.
Yeah.
And all the Excel, let's do them all.
Very good.
What was this? What do you take points off?
I'm not worried about the test. All right, I'm not worried about the test. All right, don't worry. Just make 100. You don't have to worry about it. Right? That's what you're doing. Don't worry.
How many points do we get per extra K?
One.
Come on, guys. You know that. 1.
And it's K1.
All right, 1 through 11. All right, so again, the solutions, if you scroll down, is all down there. Does everybody see that? Just in case you want to double check things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you that the inverse that we did at the beginning of class today, same exact thing is going to be on the test. Same exact. Probably 1 from each section. All right, maybe 2. I don't remember. Then it's all inequalities. If you redo this worksheet, you will see on the test some of the exact same problems are going to be on the test. And then the other problems, I just do what to the numbers? Just change them. That's it. And then there'll be like 5 or 6 SAT questions dealing with inequalities. You have to think through. All right? Does anybody have any questions? Now I think it's a good idea for us to stop and do IXL. All right? And then come to my desk. If you're having trouble with the IXL, you can come to my desk. Also, listen, if you want some quiet time and you want to come in here during lunch and do your IXL, I'm okay with you sitting in here and just doing the IXL. All right? But that's what it's going to be. I'm not babysitting. If you're going to work, all right, come in here and work. And you can, you can take care of business, all right, where it's a quiet place. But some of you guys, you need the extra practice. All right? So let me go ahead and put this on, post this, and then I'll sit at my desk and you guys can come ask me questions.